Welcome. Take a seat, relax. Honestly, you've probably had a couple rough years. Maybe you won the championship like 2 years ago. Maybe last year you had like Drake May, and maybe you just snuck into the playoffs and didn't quite win the championship again. So you've had a rough couple years. We're glad you're here. Let's get into it. This episode, Mendoza, Ty Simpson, both high draft picks, and we're going to figure out where they're going. Welcome to the Fantasy 365 podcast. This is Rookie Watch. All right, Sully, how are we doing today?
Pretty good.
All right, we're talking two big quarterbacks, Mendoza and Simpson. We have the consensus number one pick, and we have this guy, Ty Simpson. Let's go into it, man.
Let's get it.
Mendoza, tell me about him.
Yeah, we know where Mendoza's going. Number one to the Raiders. There's no speculation there. Yeah, Mendoza, 6'4", 225. This was interesting, actually. At the combine, it was 225 pounds. At his Indiana Pro Day, he was 236 pounds.
Yeah, he's put on like 15 pounds. Since his last game, national championship. He's been putting on some weight to be the big boys.
This year, obviously, historic year. Honestly, kind of changed. That whole Indiana program did, but changed kind of the landscape of college football. Taking Indiana, going 16-0, winning the championship. He won the Heisman this year, threw for 3,535 yards, 41 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, while all having one of the best completion percentages in the country at 72%. This guy's a really good college football quarterback. How is that going to translate to the Raiders? We will see.
Sully, do we care about any of that as a fantasy manager? Or what do we care about?
Yeah, you gotta care about it.
I don't know if we do. I care about is this offense going to score with these guys at the helm.
But we don't. All we have right now is what he's done in college. Obviously, you see the viral moments, the interviews, all the stuff. Like, he's such a likable guy. As a fantasy manager, it's like, all right, knowing my quarterback has that mindset. Yeah, I'm drafting Mendoza.
What's your mindset as a fantasy manager when you think about? Let's just go Mendoza first. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think first off we have to look at this Raiders team. I like a lot what they did on the defensive end in free agency, but obviously it's not a fantasy aspect. New head coach Clint Kubiak, former offensive coordinator with Seattle, which he runs a very similar offense to what Mendoza's strengths are. So I think it's a really good fit there, but I think the main drawback for me is that Raiders offense, wide receiver one, there's who?
Are you concerned with Trey Tucker? Are you drafting Trey Tucker?
No, it's very concerning. Very concerning. Wide receiver one, Bowers, I guess.
If they go after a wide receiver, I think Bowers has got some competition. But if they don't, or if it's a third or fourth rounder, I think Bowers to the moon. We got a tight end one with wide receiver one kind of upside. Now, where I was thinking was, all right, Kirk Cousins is there. I think that's everything that we're worried about with Mendoza. I don't think he's going to start. Probably 6 to 8 games. But for Bowers, it's like, okay, maybe he has some upside in the beginning, but I think he's a volume play for next year. He may not have that ceiling. Rookie quarterbacks with Cousins looking like 20, 25 touchdowns. Tight ends are in that 25 to 35% cut of those touchdowns. But would you want Bowers as a security blanket for Mendoza? I think so. The volume is going to be there.
I think that's a great point to make because it seems like they brought in Cousins to start the first couple games and bring Mendoza in, which from a non-fantasy perspective, I think is great for Fernando Mendoza. It's kind of a lost art we see with quarterbacks that go in the top 10, any quarterback that gets drafted nowadays. And we've seen so many rookie quarterbacks struggle at the beginning, and I think Kirk Cousins is an upgrade over Geno Smith. That's debatable, but I think it is. I think he makes the offense a little bit better. So I think Bowers and Genty still benefit from being part of a better offensive scheme than Kirk Cousins. And I think Mendoza can come in, better prepared and a better fantasy prospect, even though you might not get to reap the rewards at the beginning. So I think he's definitely a good guy to stash as your QB2. And
This is your
I
QB
mean, who
too?
knows?
Interesting. Well, we're gonna get into that more in
I
a
mean,
minute, but
okay,
it
yeah,
could be
we'll see.
definitely in a
I
flex
mean,
league,
yeah,
or two
yeah,
quarterback
true,
league. But
true.
I think we both can agree. You're not drafting him round 5. You're not gonna go after.
No,
No, he's.
and
Go ahead.
yeah, I don't think you're drafting him as your guy to start,
No,
the
no,
season. Like,
absolutely not.
yeah, he's more of a stash play and high upside stash quarterback. So,
There you
yeah,
go.
we'll see.
Yeah. All right. So, like you said, as a fantasy manager, we're worried about him sitting beside Cousins. We think this is going to help Bowers definitely from a volume standpoint. But
Mhm,
otherwise, I think the general message for the offense as a whole, is a little bit capped, but you have Genty there, you have Bowers there, two security blanket profile fantasy picks. You had Genty with a horrible offensive line that they've revamped, and he finished 15th in fantasy points last year. What a value Genty's going to be this season. I mean, you're talking a round 2 pick right now with round 1 value. So that's what we're thinking on Mendoza right now. One of the things I found comps, Matt Ryan, Trevor Lawrence, anything to add there
mhm.
in terms of comps?
Yeah, who did I say for Mendoza's comp? Yeah, my big one was Dak Prescott. I thought
Interesting.
the way
Why?
he got the ball out quick, he's such a quick processor, quick release, and it wasn't just a lot of times when we see quarterbacks with a quick release, it's like short to intermediate to dump downs. No, Mendoza is able to get the ball out fast and kind of push it downfield, which we see a lot with Dak. And another big kind of a drawback, but also, it could be a benefit to Mendoza, but is that he's very reliant on his surroundings. I mean, his two top receivers are probably Omar Cooper could go round 1. Elijah Surratt could be a day 2, early day 3 pick. He has 2 NFL guys as his top receivers. I think we see similar with Dak Prescott. When Dak Prescott is on, he has his Des Bryant or his Michael Gallup was good for a few years, or like last year, George Pickens, he had a great year. Having a good complementary receiver to uh, your top guy is important for those type of guys. And also just another thing to mention on Mendoza, his similar to Dak Prescott, throws a great back shoulder ball to the
Back
red
shoulder
zone.
throw elite. Let's be
Yes,
clear. That
yes.
is his
You saw that too?
signature. He
Yeah.
can throw those all day.
Yep. So I think that's really important to have that kind of obviously a quarterback is only as good as his receivers. And Mendoza isn't the type of guy who's going to scramble out and make a lot of plays outside the pocket. No, he's a pocket passer. He's going to sit in the pocket, he's going to decipher the defense, and he's going to make a good throw. And he's only as good as the route his receivers run. So I am a little concerned with the receiving court in Vegas, but I don't know, I think giving him time, it's going to be a good offense that Kubiak's going to run. Listen, if they can get him a receiver that can catch that back shoulder, it's going
Yeah,
to be
the
money,
way
which I like
to
Bowers for
put
that.
to put everything together, I think we have Brady's first QB that he's going after. He sees a
Yep,
version
good
of
point.
Mendoza in himself. This guy eats, sleeps, breathes football. We got from everyone I'm hearing, like Hurd or whatever, he is a Manning leader. What does that mean? He's not cool. Like he's
Mhm,
just a dude out there that wants to play football in an NFL world where chaos is the new standard. Oza is the anti-chaos prototypical QB1, 6'5", 6'4", and at three
mhm,
quarters, whatever, 238 pounds, big arm, doesn't do social media stuff, just lives in the film room, plays football, everything an NFL executive wants.
yep,
And on top
yeah,
of that, he prepares like Drew Brees. He's got elite level preparations. So you put all things together, it's like, no wonder you're the QB1. You got 35 starts underneath your belt, model of consistency, doesn't get rattled. Yeah, man.
good point. Yeah, and sorry, not to speak on this too much.
Do it.
I know you is Brady's first quarterback that he's drafting in the Raiders. I just found a pretty cool stat. Mendoza this season, his time to throw was 2.67. His average depth of target was 9.8. How does that compare to Tom Brady over his career? Tom Brady had a 2.41 time to throw and a 9.8 average depth of target as well. So that kind of backs up what I was saying about quick release can push it downfield. To compare that to Dak, as I compared him to Dak, Dak Prescott had a 2.68 time to throw and and an 8.5 average depth target.
Yeah.
I'm very similar to Mendoza, and we'll see how it translates. He's already in the top uh, area of NFL quarterbacks that getting the ball out fast and pushing downfield. So yeah,
Yeah. So we got this other guy we got to talk about because there's been a lot of rumblings about as we get closer to the draft. This happens every year. This is what chaos in the NFL is. We got this other QB out there, Ty Simpson, Alabama, 15 starts, 6'1, 211 pounds. Is he even worth considering in this conversation, or is this just NFL noise?
from a fantasy perspective, where's Simpson gonna go? I mean, you can name so many different teams, and that's so dependent on
The
it.
Panthers.
But
The Panthers. I'm telling you right now, he's going to go to the Panthers.
he's just rage baiting. He's just rage baiting.
No, I mean, I've heard Jets, Cardinals, Steelers,
Yeah,
Browns, Vikings,
not
Rams.
yeah. I like the Rams. Yeah, throw the Panthers one in the trash.
Throw the Panthers one. Are you sure, dude? We could just
Come
put
on,
it right
come
here. I
on,
know you're a
come
big
on.
Panthers
Stop,
fan. Okay.
stop.
All right. Bryce Young's our hero. Okay.
MVP next year. Anyway, I think the big thing with Simpson is, as you said, 15 starts. Let's look at the last quarterbacks that have been drafted that have one season of starting. There's probably more, but the ones that come to my mind: Mitch Trubisky, Trey Lance, Anthony Richardson. These
Round one
guys,
QBs with
yeah.
under 600 pass attempts.
Well, also,
The
yeah.
one sec.
Okay.
Richardson, Sanchez, Murray, Mac Jones, Akai Smith, Wentz, Alex Smith. Backing what you said, limited sample size. It's not a bad, but it's not a great sample size for Q1.
Well, I'll also say this. Simpson had a clear difference between his first 8 games and his last, what, I can't do math, seven?
Yeah, the
Seven?
first 9 games he was
Yeah.
elite. He
Yeah.
played
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
played
It's
really well.
first 9 games. Yep. And so it's like we have film we're watching on Simpson. We only have 9 good games of film watched on Ty Simpson. Those 9 games, though, up to that point in the season, I mean, we were talking, it was a debate between who was going number one between Mendoza and Ty Simpson, and same with the Heisman odds. It was a Simpson and Mendoza were the top 2 betting favorites. That being said, though, I do want to note Simpson did have some injuries to his rib in his back that he admitted that he was playing with throughout the season.
I
So,
think
I mean,
gastritis also was one of them.
yep,
Something I heard that
yep,
mentioned.
I saw that.
Offensive line got banged up, so they couldn't run the
Yeah,
football. So yeah,
yes, yes. Yeah, he didn't have a great supporting cast at all, actually. I saw a stat, I don't have the exact numbers, but if you took the drop percentage of the Bama receivers and just assumed they caught the ball, he would have the same or it was like actually I think it was better. He would have a better completion percentage than Mendoza. Obviously, that's all hypothetical and like you can do so many what ifs, but I thought it was noteworthy. Just some more quick stats that I had. So the first 9 games compared to the last 6 games for Simpson, he completed 67% of his passes to 61% of his passes in the last 6. He averaged 273.4 yards per game. In the last 6, he averaged 184.3, 8.3 yards per attempt to 6.2 yards per attempt. Then he had a touchdown ratio to start the year off in his first 9 games, 21 touchdowns to 1 interception. Totally flipped in the last 6 to 7 touchdowns to 4. So yeah.
it's the limited, like you said, it's the 15 starts. He had a great 9
Mhm.
games, and then things fell apart. But the reason why this comparison started getting brought up, McShay, the film guys in the fantasy and NFL world, they've never seen a QB as ready for the NFL level since Burrow. Pre snap reads, understanding the defense, movement, knowing where everybody is supposed to be is the name of the game for Ty Simpson.
I mean, just looking at Simpson's film, you can tell he's worked on his mechanics. You can tell he's sat on the bench at Bama and has accepted his. I think that's also something to note. This guy was a backup. He didn't enter the transfer portal. I mean, he was a high recruit. He stayed as a backup. He worked in that offense. He got comfortable in the offense.
Yep.
He worked on his mechanics, and a lot of top analysts will tell you and will point out on film like this guy, as you mentioned, his pre-snap diagnosis, and then his mechanics are just so next level. Also, one more thing to note on Simpson, he's great across the middle of the field, which is kind of a dying art in for a lot of quarterbacks. Like he's very accurate throwing towards the middle. So, um,
if he would have had a full 5 starts or his trend for the first 9 games carried through the rest of the season, this would be a very much bigger debate. But the truth of the matter is it wasn't. So the question is why did he come out now? He's a redshirt junior. He had another year of eligibility. Why did he come out now? I'll tell you why. Because there's next year's the Arch Manning draft. There's 6 other QBs coming out of the draft next year.
Mhm.
And if he didn't come out now, he was going to get lost. So what does that mean? He went with where he thinks he could get drafted the highest. And that's why there's the comparison. But he didn't have the time and he did what's best for him. He's made this decision. Now he's here.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Also, I think this is notable. I know Bama really likes Keelan Russell,
Yep.
who's going to be starting for them this year. So they probably told Simpson, they're like, hey, if you come back, man, you're going to have to transfer. We don't have a starting spot for you.
Yeah.
I mean,
It just is what
just
it is, right?
some
I mean,
noteworthy.
like
Yeah,
this is
it's
he
noteworthy.
made the decision. This was the best option for me. I'm going into the draft. It's not a knock on him. Like we said, he's the most QB1 ready quarterback in a
From like a
while.
processing
Yeah,
perspective.
from a
Yes,
processing
yes.
standpoint. So it's not a knock, but let's compare these two. Let's determine where
Let's
we
do it.
are aligned. Let's just start
do
from the top. All right. We got the board here. Frame check. Who are you leaning towards? Mendoza. I'm with you on Mendoza.
Sorry,
So
not to cut you off.
yeah,
That's
that's
I mean, right?
absolutely. We're in agreement there.
If anything, Simpson is not an outlier, but is like 211 pounds,
Yeah.
6'1". I mean, that small.
Small. Yeah, like
Yeah.
in the Bryce Young category. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
he's not the 6'5", 230 huge guy. He's just more average lower end.
He's small for someone I wouldn't consider as a big time playmaker. Like Bryce Young, I mean, is a playmaker in the pocket. Simpson isn't as like that. So I think Bryce Young is smaller, but Simpson being small and not being as big of a playmaker or scrambler like a Kyler Murray or
Yep.
as accurate as a Drew Brees, I think, yeah. But yeah,
How about
frame definitely.
yeah? How about decision making ability? Where are you at?
I think this is more of a debate than people would think. I'm still going to lean Mendoza, but something interesting on Mendoza, probably the best decision maker in college football. But I think there's so much hesitancy with Mendoza where he would just, hey, I'm just going to settle for this check down. He was almost scared to make the big time throw, which I mean, he did sometimes, but he kind of shied away from throwing towards the middle of the field. He was
Shoulder throw outside the numbers.
yeah, more. Yes, he ran him more in the offense. What the offense first read, this should be open. Boom. Simpson, I think, is more of a gunslinger, takes more risks. I mean, so I think, decision making is obviously Mendoza on my mind, but
I'm with you.
yeah, I think Simpson's a great one too.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I just think he's the model of consistency. He for the first 2 years of his career at Cal, 66.4% completion rate in a NFL spread offensive style, by the way, in which now they keep bringing up he's in an RPO style. He doesn't do full progression reads, 1-2 decide. At Cal, before he got right as he was got into the transfer portal, he was doing those full progression reads at 66.4. Now, last year, 72%. He wasn't asked to do that, but it doesn't mean that he can't, right? So I'm with you. I mean, 5 interceptions last year. I mean, the guy just doesn't turn the ball over. Let's go to the next one. Dog mentality. Which dude do you want?
I mean, gosh, I hate how obvious this is. I mean,
But this is why we have the board. Go for it.
Well, just this section. Yeah, just watch the interview from Mendoza. I mean, watch his touchdown run in the national championship. I mean, this guy. I mean, Mendoza's not even a elite scrambler or elite athlete, but it's like putting your body on like that last touchdown in the championship. Like he's just such a. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, against Ohio State, which last year was known to be one of the best historical defenses ever in college football. He goes first series of the game, gets cracked, kicked out of the game, right in the rim. He comes back in, leads them to a 13-10 victory. Then he goes into the playoffs. First 2 games, he goes for 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And then finally, as we all know, he goes in the fourth quarter against Miami. He does that QB draw, scramble upside the middle, does a backflip into the end zone after shaking off 2 touchdowns. I mean, it's hard, man. That guy, like you said, this guy. I mean, he said it on an interview. He's going to die for his team. There's nothing. He came up with a Indiana team who's had a losing culture for a while. He came up
Hmm.
in a big way every time. The knock on Simpson from this perspective is he was at Alabama, where a national championship is the standard. It's not we hope, it's we better win or somebody else is coming in here next year. And he just came up a little bit short on top of he has a redshirt junior. He didn't beat out Bryce Young. He didn't beat out the guy that's in Seattle, the quarterback last year.
Milrow.
Milrow. It just is what it is. Game readiness. This one, I think, actually is where it starts to get interesting. Who is
I agree.
NFL ready, Sully?
You know, it is such a debate. I think from a mechanics perspective, I would lean more towards Simpson. I think his mechanics are better. Wait, I think from a game ready perspective, I think Mendoza is a better processor. I think he can decipher a defense better than Simpson. So I think I would lean Mendoza, but it's such a big debate in my mind.
I think we all know where this is going to end.
Hmm.
But when I hear McShay say that he hasn't seen an NFL ready quarterback since Joe Burrow in terms of game film, in terms
Hmm.
of a prospect that his dad had him in the NFL college, rooms since he was a little kid, they can pre-snap read, who knows the defenses, he knows the checkdowns, he knows everything. I just think from a pure game ready standpoint, we're not talking intangibles. We're not talking the dog, just X's and O's. I have to give the edge to Todd. I do.
Yeah,
I
uh,
think it's hard
totally
to.
valid.
I think we gotta. In my, they're both great. We know that, but I think I like Ty here. Ceiling. All right, man. Who's the ceiling for next year?
For next year.
For
And from a
next year,
fantasy perspective,
fantasy. This
it
is what
is
we are. Our
Fernando.
fantasy channel, dude.
Of course, yeah. It's Fernando Mendoza.
Behind Kirk
Simpson.
Cousins.
I mean, Kirk Cousins is not going to start the whole year. There's no way. I think Simpson. Obviously, it depends where he goes. Like, I don't see a situation where Simpson will come in and start right away.
Right.
Like,
Right.
you could talk the Jet. He might go to the Jets. He's not starting over Geno Smith. You could talk the Cardinals. I don't think he's starting over Brissett.
Brissett was hot all year last year. How do
Yeah,
you bench him? Brissett's That's a
yeah,
I see that as a cousin situation all over again a little bit until Brissett
exactly.
stops.
So it takes me down to what prospect do I like better? I like Mendoza uh, better than Simpson. So I think if both are not coming in as starters, um, which I would project, I would lean Mendoza.
Yeah, I don't
But I think
see it.
long term,
Yeah, go ahead.
I sorry, yeah, I think long term we could 100% see Simpson as a great fantasy quarterback.
You think?
But and I
Put
think so.
stamp it.
It's
Who
so
we're gonna recall
no
this later. Who
okay.
5 years from now is still starting in the league? Let's go, buddy. Stamp it.
Fernando Mendoza. I
Fernando.
think both will be starting in the league
You think
5 years.
both will? Yeah.
Yep.
I am worried. We're gonna go back real quick. This is real quick. The 15 starts, under 600 pass attempts. If he goes to New York, we've seen a little bit of when he gets cracked, a little bit nervous. If he goes to New York and gets thrown in there, he could have a rough
Uh,
year next year. He
well,
could
yeah.
have a
If he go,
get that New York market. I think
I mean,
we'll see.
yeah. Anyone on the damn Jets, man. Like it's their seat.
Exactly.
I mean, his career's over before it starts.
Yeah, that's right.
It's got
I think he
Freddie got
goes
it.
to the
Yeah,
Jets. That's just
yeah. Listen,
sayonara.
if
And
he goes to
Cleveland.
the if
And
he go
Cleveland.
yes, both those teams. If he goes to the Jets or the Browns, I will project Ty Simpson as a valid fantasy starter once his rookie contract is up. So in 5 years.
5 years. All right. All right. Which one's trending in the right direction? I think they're both. Which one's right? I mean, for me, I'll take this one first. Just trending up right now. Mendoza's been the one, just from a where is he going to get drafted? The fact that we're talking about Ty Simpson, man, I worry about him coming in and just getting thrown in there too much. I think he's trending up, not from a fantasy perspective, and maybe you'd have a different take in terms of trending up. But
Hmm.
I think he's someone's going to take him in the first round. He's not a first round draftable quarterback. This is just what the NFL does because quarterback's the most important position in sports. Go.
Yep. No, I 100% see it very similarly, trending up when I think from a from a fantasy perspective, we just got through free agency. Obviously, once we get to the draft, might be different, but I think Mendoza, from a fantasy perspective, is trending down. They didn't go out and get one of the top receivers or a wide receiver one. And I think Simpson being kind of less or more of a question mark on where he may fall.
Yeah.
I think kind of that unknown or uncertainty gives me more like, oh, he might go to the Los Angeles Rams or a team like that. And let's just say Stafford gets hurt. It's a
Yep.
great system for him to come into. And it's like, oh, well, who would I rather have on my fantasy team? In
Yeah,
that
you're
case. So
right.
I think the
Go ahead.
yeah, so I think the uncertainty of where Ty Simpson and the situation that might surround him leans me more towards, from a fantasy perspective, I'm trending up more with Simpson, and I'm trending down with Mendoza because the Raiders didn't do much offensively this offseason so far.
Yeah, I think they're good. Like you said, they're going to bet the house on Mendoza, and they're not going to rush him out there. The moment one of these teams looks bad out of playoff, they're going to throw Ty Simpson in there, and they're
Hmm.
going to say, "Let's see what you got, kid."
What do we
And
have? Yeah.
that's we hope the best for him. So finally, is it which one is going to be draftable this year in fantasy? It's actually debatable which one is draftable.
And it's debatable if either are draftable.
Yep.
I mean, truthfully, I mean that this Raiders team, a lot of unknown. I mean, the Raiders haven't been a great offense in a while. So I think, I am a big like I like this Kubiak style offense. Like I think it fits Mendoza well. I'm just very hesitant on the weapons that will surround him. So is he draftable? Yeah, I think he's a late round
It's
kind of
week
stash guy.
12. No, let's just go week 10. He goes down. Did you put Mendoza in your lineup? Do you think he'll be there, a waiver wire pickup towards the end of the season if your quarterback goes down?
I think there's a high possibility he can. I think there'll be a team who drafts him in the last 3 to 4 rounds. Injuries happen, need to clear up a roster spot. Kirk Cousins is starting. Mendoza hasn't even played yet. Gonna have to drop Mendoza. I think he could be a top waiver ad because I mean, Mendoza's gonna start games this year. It's just more determining when it's gonna
All
happen.
right. So I'm hearing Mendoza.
Yeah, and Simpson again, as I mentioned before, so much unknown. It's like I can't say he's more draftable. Simpson's gonna go undrafted in most consensus fantasy football drafts. If you want to talk more dynasty fantasy football, I think Mendoza's actually a great pick because I am buying into the new ownership, the new scheme, the new kind of coaching staff in Vegas. I just think it's gonna take 2 to 3 years more so. So I think in the dynasty, Mendoza's 100% draftable. I think Simpson's a debate in both. But I think he's a great stash candidate in deeper leagues or even just a 12, 10 man QB2. Yeah.
Well, here we go, man. We've gotten to the end. It's looking like it's Mendoza pretty much all the way. I think there's some
Yeah.
qualities about Ty Simpson we like. I think if he had more starts, if he had continued his consistency from the beginning of the season, this would have been probably a more debatable topic. But you're with me. Mendoza this year, most fantasy relevant, going to be a QB. Here we go. It just fell, but that's
On the
part
board.
of what
Hey,
we do
you're
here.
pounding the board for Mendoza.
That's right. Pound on the board for Mendoza. You want to have the final take?
Yeah, I think, obviously hope both these quarterbacks are great and, hope, I guess it's next week, the draft, both go to good systems that benefit them. But yeah, I think kind of the last thing to say is that, quarterbacks are only going to be as good as their environment. So I think it's so important to see what's around them when kind of analyzing, do I want this guy on my fantasy team? Yeah, but, it should be fun. I'm very intrigued to see where Ty Simpson goes. It's
Yeah, I
so
think
up in
that's
the
a big
air, and
question mark, right?
there's not a lot of leads on this team really loves Ty Simpson, um, or this team is targeting Ty Simpson in this area. It's like we don't even know if he's gonna go on day one in the first round, or he's gonna be a second round pick. Is there gonna be a team that trades up for like so up in the air? So I'm really intrigued to kind of see that. But yeah,
All right. Well, guys, this is Fantasy 365. This is a wrap. We'll see you next week for the next episode on RBs, rookies. Looking forward to that one. There's going to be a bunch of them.
can't
Till
wait.
next time.
Peace.